Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Sharon Let's Live with Marlene Dillon, Empowerment Specialist. Okay, so a cool thing happened today. Brief warning, I'm driving, the air is on, and the heat is on because it's cold as fuck. It is, they say it's 13 degrees outside, but I think they might be lying. The car says it's 13 degrees outside. So, I have on a noisy coat. Yesterday's podcast was so noisy, I was like trying to edit that shit out, which was really hard. So today I'm not editing that stuff out, but I'm gonna try my best to make it less noisy. So I unzipped my coat, so maybe that will help. Pardon that one. Okay, so anyway, so why did I get on here? Come on, ADHD, be nice. Fuck, I actually forgot again. Same thing happened yesterday. Anyway, So I've said this before, like in the posts that I do, but I don't know if I've said it on the podcast. But I have this thing I do where if somebody likes a podcast episode, like you may read it, read the blog or listen, and then you don't hit like. Maybe you're not a WordPress member or something. Like, I don't know if that's necessary in order for you to like it, that you have to have a blog, like a website or something. But for whatever reason, not everybody likes, but they do read, and I don't know unless you like it. It's pretty much the point. So when people like a post, podcast episode or a blog post, I get a notification on my phone. It's one of the few apps that I allow notifications. And when I get a notification, I will listen to that podcast episode again, or I will read that post. And what I've noticed over time is that, sorry, not everybody drives like I would like them to. Anyway, so what I noticed from that is that when people, whatever episode people like happens to be talking about the thing I need to hear that day. So one of the really cool things about my podcast is that I like my podcast. And I'm not a person who likes podcasts, which is really weird that I would even have one, but I just feel like I have something to say and that it can be of help to other people, and I like to be empowering and to share what empowers me. So it makes me feel good. Well, that's one part. It makes me feel good that my podcast is actually empowering because I empower myself when I listen to it. Two, it's really cool that that I am gaining from the stuff that comes out of my own mouth. And I guess that's kind of one of the cool parts of ADHD is that I forget shit. So I said it, don't remember, and then I'm like, wow, this is the most brilliant shit I've ever heard in my life. Because I don't remember it. I don't remember saying it or anything. It's not like my podcast is not this deep scholarly type whatever. Okay, it's deep, but it ain't scholarly. I mean, I know shit because I've been to school. I have a couple degrees to prove it. And it's really like, it's inspired thought. It comes through me, So I might not have known it until I said it. A lot of times I didn't know it until I said it. So yeah, so it's like the podcast is unscripted. There was like my first season, quote unquote, like the first playlist you can find on like my SoundCloud or whatever. Those I, started off as like a blog post, and then I read it on the mic, recorded it, and those, so you could say those were scripted. But the blog posts aren't scripted either. Like it's just what comes to me and I write it down. So now it's what comes to me and I just say it on the podcast. I don't do it live because there are a couple reasons why I don't do things live. One is I drift way too many times. Like, ADHD is real with me. So I'm driving while I'm doing this right now, and you hear me like pausing because the driver's doing something weird. Shit happens. I'm driving through the city. I'm driving through interesting neighborhoods, so it might be somebody dancing in the street, and I'm gonna be like, oh my god, somebody's dancing in the street. Like, I can't help it. So yeah, I have to be able to edit. So, and I drift, and I, all types of shit. So, like I'm doing right now. So the podcast will be like 45 minutes if I didn't edit them. So I try to edit for that purpose, so that it can be a bit streamlined, and you don't hear all of my, or because I'm like cussing at other drivers. I mean, I don't put the window down to do it. It's more just my own personal venting. Like I ain't trying to fight or nothing. So, oh god. But anyway, so of course I ADHD'd and don't remember what I was talking about. I am the one. So somebody liked the podcast episode, I Am the One. It was from May of 2024, I believe. And man, that was a good episode. I'm going to try, and I always say this and then don't do it, but I'm going to try to remember to tag that episode in the description or somewhere, because goodness grief cakes, it's a good ass episode. And the episode is essentially me coming into accepting that I am more than I portray myself to be. Meaning that I have dumbed myself down. I have watered myself down. I only show a percentage of who I really am for various reasons. Some of it is because I was trained into humility. That it's not right. It's conceited. It's blah, blah, blah to tell people who you are. Part of it is because in my family system, and family systems matter, people like, you're grown now, that shit shouldn't matter to you. It still matters. That's just the way that we're trained, and most of our beliefs are established between birth and 7 years old. So between birth and 7 years old, I was constantly told, don't nobody want to hear what the fuck you gotta say. You're not that smart. So I eventually, picked up that as a belief. Like, other people are smarter than me. Other people know better than me. I don't get to say what I have to say. Nobody wants to hear me. Like, I picked up all of those beliefs or whatever. So I have been living my life as the youngest. So even when I'm not around my family, in all different areas of my life, I was showing up as the little one, the small one, the, be quiet, seen and not heard, that person. And, if you hear weird sounds, I'm safe. The streets are just shit. So anyway, so I'm listening to this episode called I Am the One, and basically it was me saying, like, I finally accept that I'm the shit, and that I can do shit, and I know shit, and I can talk about shit, and I can teach shit. Like, it was just really a cuss if you didn't read the description. So and that was part of it too, was like me embracing my real self. Because the thing is that, like, I would have friends in different, that I know from different places, and I couldn't have them all in the same room because I was a different person with each person. I can't have the people I cuss around be around the people I don't cuss around. Like, they might be like, why are you talking like that? Either side. Like, did she just cuss? And I got tired of being multiple people. Like, by being in the systems that I was in, and systems meaning like religious systems, family systems, etc., that I've been in, there has been an expectation of you don't get to be fully yourself. Okay, let me just go my ass home. There's been this, this belief of, like, you don't get to be fully yourself. That's not okay. How you show up impacts other people. And, like, my dad is a pastor, so one of the when you go outside. You're representing us. So you can't just be doing whatever and acting however in public and blah, blah, blah. So it was like either be perfect or be two people. And for a long time, I tried the perfect side, and then that wasn't it anymore. And then it turned into me being multiple people. And I got tired of that shit. I got tired of it. I got tired of wanting to post something and then thinking like, oh no, those people know me from church, so I can't post that. Or wanting to share, like, if I want to be really honest in a blog post and say the words that I actually would normally say, I would feel bad about it. If I posted something and a person cussed in the meme, I would post it and then feel bad and then pull it down. And I just got tired of that shit. And I was having a conversation with my brother, who's one of my dearest friends, and I was just like, when do we get to be ourselves? We still hiding so that people don't tell mom. When do we get to be ourselves? And and I started watching him break out of that and start just being himself and posting whatever the fuck he wanted to post. And I'm like, me too, goddammit. So I started to be more honest. And, with the podcast, one of the gifts of it is that less people were aware of it. So, oh shit. Sorry, I'm driving through one of those areas, and it looks like there was a shooting based on the bullet holes in this business's window. Multiple bullet holes. Okay, wasn't expecting that. Anywho, I'm safe. Clearly it happened a long time ago. There's no police tape or anything. So wasn't expecting that. So following his example, I was just like, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm just gonna be me. And I'm gonna start out being me on my podcast, where I was just like, I'm gonna speak freely. I'm just gonna cuss when I feel like cussing. And it took me a while, I would cuss a little, and then it was a lot, and then it was a regular rate. And who knows how many times I said shit on this episode. I cuss so much in regular life that I don't even realize I cussed until maybe after I've said the seventh cuss word. Then I'm like, oh my bad, I just cussed. And and the person's probably looking around like, dude, you've been cussing for the last 15 minutes. But I didn't use the F word. But yes, anyway, because that is how I authentically speak. And I used to have this thing called the inbox ministry, where only the people who, only select people got to really hear the real me. And those people were folk that I messaged on Facebook. And in Messenger, I was the real me. But on my page, on my wall, I was the me that I thought people needed me to be. Because it was I'm a children's book author. People don't want to know that I cuss and fuck. It was just, I just felt like it was weird. It was weird to do that. But now I realize that I can be a multi-dimensional person. I mean, because I do actually fuck it, but I haven't in a very long time. God help me. 3 years celibate, yay! Unintentionally. But I am also a children's book author, and I do enjoy speaking to children, and I don't cuss around children. I don't cuss around elders. I spoke at a church recently. I wasn't preaching, but they thought I was. But I wasn't preaching. I just, I show up where I show up, and I'm learning that it's okay for me to be all of those things, and all of the judgment and all that type of shit doesn't really matter. I don't have to take it on, because I know that I'm still me. And I know that I still receive guidance, people are like, God doesn't hear the prayers of sinners or whatever. And I believed that shit for a very long time. But then I realized that it's bigger than what we think. A lot of the beliefs belief systems that we hold limit what is actually true and what is actually available. And I no longer subscribe to those limiting beliefs, and I'm constantly releasing limiting beliefs around stuff like that. When I started to receive guidance and information from people who did not believe the same things that I once believed, meaning people who are not Christian, for example, who receive guidance, like higher guidance, and I never thought that was like a thing. I didn't even think that was possible. It made me start to think like, whoa, because I'm like, you don't even believe in Jesus. How are you able to give me insight and information that you would not know on your own? And I started to realize that it's a lot bigger than we make it. And I love that about myself, that I am open-minded enough to accept that what I used to think was good for then. And then when I learn new things, I don't discard them like, well, that's not possible because I believe this. It's like, well, maybe it's time for my beliefs to evolve because this actually happened. So, I'm just open-minded like that. But anyway, so somebody, we're going to be drifting again, but maybe this is what I'm supposed to talk about. Clearly it is. So, somebody liked the podcast episode, I Am the One. And when I was listening to it today, I realized that, one, I had forgotten a lot of the shit that I said on there, where I was like, my life will forever be different because I know this now, and I'm never going to blah, blah, blah. I'm never going to go back to that old way of being, thinking, etc. And it was just like, oh, glad I listened to this today, because I was slipping back into that old way of being, thinking. And I guess that's kind of, I guess I'll make that the point for today. Because I don't know, it might have been Jim Rohn. I think it was Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N, Jim Rohn. Motivational speaker from like back in the day, really gained so much from him in terms of personal development and such. And I think it was him, but I can't guarantee it. It might have been. Yeah, anyway. So basically what whoever it was said is that motivation is kind of like a shower, like you don't just, motivation doesn't just like happen. Like it happens once and you stay motivated. It's something that has to happen every day. And it's like the same with like, you take a shower, like it wears off. And I think that one of the gifts of when people like my podcast or my blog posts is that I get to revisit those moments in time when I had these epiphanies that were like life-changing for me, and I get to experience it again and remember what that life-changing message was, because life happens and it's very easy to fall back into habits. I don't know if my coat was making too much noise. It's very easy to fall back into habits of thinking. Excuse me. And I've been limited in my thinking longer than I've been open and free in my thinking. So it's very easy to fall back into seeing myself as small, seeing myself as little, seeing myself as someone who nobody wants to hear what she has to say, seeing myself as insignificant. That's a big word for me. And it's a big thing for me, like in relationship, that I need to feel significant. And because that's my wound, that's the wound that I carry, is from being the youngest, being, the overlooked one, that being significant is something that really matters to me. And I have to be very careful with it, because when a person treats me as significant, I'll be all like heart eyes, like, I'm in love. you know, when, you know, they might be treating me as significant because they want to fuck. And they're, you know, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're like the one, but because it's such a deep wound for me, it's very easy for me to like, I think this is what I've always been looking for, like ignore all the red flags. Ignore the red flags, pack my bags, like, we moving in, I know that you're it, you know, and I have to be very careful because I'm entering this season of, you know, like, I feel like when spring and summer and them hit, that I'm actually going to be dating this year. I want to believe that. I want to see myself doing that. And, you know, and I'm just getting myself ready by being a little bit more aware, preparing my heart, preparing my mind to walk with my heart, you know, that whole thing. But yeah, anyway, so this episode is kind of like a buffet, so, you know, take what's for you and discard the rest. And yeah, I'm going to end it here, and hopefully you got what was for you. If nothing else, I hope you were entertained. This is Marlene Dillon, Empowerment Specialist with Share and Let's Live. Have an amazing, whatever time of day it is for you. Blessings. Share and Let's Live with Marlene Dillon, Empowerment Specialist is a free daily podcast. If you would like to send a gift of support, please visit mdillondesigns.com/support. To learn more about me, Marlene Dillon Empowerment Specialist, please visit mdillondesigns.com. There you can find more podcast episodes, you can read my inspirational blog, you can check out my online store of personalized gifts featuring the characters from my empowering children's book, I'm Proud to Be Natural Me. You can find parenting resources, including my online communication course, Healing Our Families, Healing the Parent-Child Relationship. Please follow and share if you found this podcast inspiring. Thank you, and have an amazing day.